Before the war, before the olive green uniform, the sleepless nights, and the global stage, there was laughter. He was an actor, a comedian, a man whose job was to make people smile in a country learning how to survive pain. But life has a strange sense of irony, because one day, that same man would stand in front of the world, not to make them laugh, but to remind them how to fight. His name is Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky. And before he became the face of modern resistance, he was just a boy from the industrial city of Kryvyi Rih. A boy with a stage dream, a voice full of humor, and a heart full of rebellion. This is not a story about war. This is a story about how a performer became a protector. Because before the politics, before the presidency, before the world called him a hero, he was simply a man trying to understand his place in a divided country. And he had no idea that the same spotlight that once lit up his comedy stage would one day illuminate the darkest nights of a nation under fire. January 25th, 1978. Kryvyi Rih, a gritty industrial city in central Ukraine. Factories belched smoke. Iron dust coated the streets. It was a city built on labor, not laughter. Zelensky was born into a Jewish family of intellectuals. His father, Alexander, was a professor of cybernetics. His mother, Rima, an engineer. They weren't wealthy, but they were curious. Books filled their small apartment, and education was everything. Growing up in the late Soviet years meant living in contradiction. Communism on paper, corruption in reality. Propaganda on TV, but Western dreams on cassette tapes. Volodymyr was small, quick-witted, and restless. He loved impressions, humor, mimicry, traits that made him popular among classmates and sometimes a troublemaker among teachers. In a country where laughter was often dangerous, young Zelensky learned how to make people laugh without getting punished. He was a strategist even as a child, understanding timing, tone, and persuasion. By the time he was 16, he could perform in multiple languages, and he dreamed not of politics or power, but of film. He once told a friend, "I want to make people believe, just for 1 hour, that life can be beautiful." He had no idea that one day he'd have to make them believe in survival instead. In the 1990s, the Soviet Union collapsed. Ukraine was free, but lost. Chaos replaced ideology. Economy collapsed, crime spread, and culture fragmented. For many, the future looked uncertain. But for a young performer from Kryvyi Rih, it was the perfect moment to reinvent himself and his country's sense of humor. Zelensky studied law at Kyiv National Economic University, but the courtroom never inspired him. The stage did. While still a student, he joined a comedy competition known as KVN, a Soviet-born game show where humor met intellect. His team, Kvartal 95, became a sensation. Their humor wasn't just funny, it was fearless. They mocked bureaucracy, corruption, and the absurdities of post-Soviet life. Audiences saw themselves in his jokes, and for the first time in years, Ukrainians laughed at their pain. By his mid-20s, Zelensky was a star. He founded his own production company, also called Kvartal 95 Studio. They produced stand-up shows, sitcoms, films, and music, all infused with satire and sincerity. He wasn't just an entertainer. He was becoming a cultural voice for a new, uncertain Ukraine. But fame has a strange gravity. It pulls you higher and closer to danger. Because in Ukraine, making people laugh at power can sometimes make you powerful yourself. In 2015, Zelensky starred in a television series that would change his life forever. It was called Servant of the People. He played a modest history teacher who becomes president of Ukraine after a student's viral video captures his passionate rant against corruption. The show was a phenomenon. Ordinary people loved it because it told the truth about dirty politics, broken promises, and the dream of an honest leader. In one episode, Zelensky's character shouts, "You keep waiting for someone to fix it. Why not us?" That line wasn't just fiction, it became prophecy. Millions watched the series, But they weren't just seeing a character. They were seeing a version of Zelensky they wished was real. By 2018, rumors started to spread. What if the actor actually ran for president? Most laughed. Then, they remembered. He was very good at turning fiction into reality. On December 31st, 2018, while other candidates aired political speeches, Zelensky appeared on television and announced his candidacy. He didn't even use a press conference. He used his own TV show's channel. It wasn't a campaign, it was a revolution in tone. The people didn't just see a comedian, they saw hope. Zelensky's campaign broke every rule. No political experience, no party history, no big donors, just a promise to be the voice of ordinary Ukrainians. His slogan? No promises, no lies. It was perfect. In a country exhausted by corruption, a comedian's honesty was more believable than a politician's speech. He ran a digital-first campaign. Short videos, humor, authenticity. And it worked. In April 2019, against all odds, Volodymyr Zelensky won the presidency with over 73% of the vote. The world was stunned. Commentators called it a political experiment. But for millions of Ukrainians, it was justice. The teacher from Servant of the People had become real. But the stage lights of democracy fade quickly. And Zelensky was about to learn that the real script of leadership has no rehearsals. The comedian had become commander, and the applause had turned to expectations. Corruption still plagued Ukraine. Oligarchs whispered in the shadows. Russia loomed at the border. Every word, every decision was now judged not by laughter, but by history. He pushed reforms, challenged elites, and promised transparency. But politics moved slower than humor. In late 2019, he faced his first international controversy. A phone call with the US president that triggered an American impeachment inquiry. Suddenly, the man who once played a president on TV was at the center of real-world politics. But Zelensky stayed calm. He didn't attack. He didn't retreat. He observed and learned. That calmness would become his defining trait, because soon he would need every ounce of it. February 24th, 2022. Dawn. Explosions thundered across Ukraine. Russia had launched a full-scale invasion. In a matter of hours, the world that Zelensky had promised to unite was on fire. Western intelligence agencies offered to evacuate him. But his answer would echo across history. I need ammunition, not a ride. The actor who once stood under stage lights was now standing under drone strikes. He broadcast messages from the streets of Kyiv. No teleprompter, no makeup, no stage crew. Just a phone camera and defiance. We are all here, he said. We are defending our independence. Those videos inspired millions. They weren't scripted. They were survival. Zelensky transformed from entertainer to emblem, a symbol of courage, resistance, and resilience. The man who once made a nation laugh was now helping it endure. Volodymyr Zelensky's journey defies logic, and yet it feels inevitable. He learned timing on stage, courage in comedy, and leadership through empathy. He never studied power, he studied people. And when history demanded a hero, he simply refused to leave. From the boy who made his classmates laugh in Kryvyi Rih to the man who made the world stand still, his story proves one truth. Sometimes, the ones who understand the stage are the only ones who know how to face the spotlight of history. This is the story of the man before politics.